I got news for you. Your house didn't get more valuable, your groceries didn't get better. So why does everything cost more? The answer is simpler than you think, and it has been hiding in plain sight your entire life. I'm going to show you the broken ruler that you've been using to measure your money and prices. Once you see this, you can't unsee it. Hey, I'm Jeff Swanson, and I am not a financial advisor. I am a regular guy who figured out that the dollar was the problem, not the solution. Now, let me tell you a story about Benny and Sue. They purchased a house, 2,000 square feet, perfect size for them. A year later, they get their property assessment in the mail, and they open it up, and it says they are now owning a house with 2,100 square feet. No, they're confused. They didn't renovate. They didn't add a room. Nothing changed. So why is there more square footage? Well, the next year, they get another letter, and now it says 2,200 square feet. So Benny calls the county assessor. Hey, what's going on? Our house keeps getting bigger on paper. The assessor says, well, that's normal. Listen, we're going to measure your house with the standard ruler, and those are the numbers we come up with. But here's the catch. If you look closely at that ruler, it's actually shrinking. Not by much, just a few percentage points per year. In the United States, 12 inches is a foot, but on the assessor, now 11.9 inches, and then the next year, 11.8 inches. The house isn't growing, the ruler is shrinking. And here's the thing, this is exactly what's happening to your money right now. Your house that cost $200,000 is now $300,000. Same house, same size, but the dollar, right? The ruler that we're using to measure that got weaker. And now we need more dollars to pay for the same thing. Your $3 coffee from 2015 is now $5. Same coffee, but weaker dollar. That 3% raise, well, that's probably meaningless if the ruler is shrinking at 4%. All right, you are not falling behind because you are failing. You're falling behind because the measuring stick itself is rigged. Think about everything that you buy, your groceries, your car payment, your rent, your utility bills, your phone bill. All of it is measured with a ruler that gets smaller every single year. That's why it goes up. That's why prices rise. Same for your paycheck. Measured with that same broken ruler, you're probably falling behind. So when your boss gives you that 3% raise and prices actually go up by 5%, you are actually earning less, even though the number on your paycheck goes up. Most people spend their whole lives measuring their worth and their prices with this broken ruler, and they wonder why they can never seem to get ahead, even though they're working harder than ever and even in some cases making more money. So why does this happen? The simple answer is the government can print dollars whenever it wants. More dollars in the system means each dollar is worth less. This is called inflation, and it's been going on in spades since 1971 when we went off the gold standard here in the United States. Now, once you see this, once you understand that the ruler itself is the problem, you can't unsee it. It's not high prices in gold. It's not high prices in houses or in groceries. It's the dollar. So if the dollar is broken, what's a good measuring stick to use? Well, for thousands of years, humanity had an answer, and it was gold. Gold worked because it was hard to create more of it, right? You just couldn't print gold. You had to dig it out of the ground. You had to refine it and then send it out, physically send it out. Now that scarcity made it stable. Kings, merchants, entire civilizations, they all measured their wealth in gold because gold was a measuring stick that did not shrink, or at least it shrank very, very slowly. In fact, when the US dollar was backed by gold before 1971, prices barely moved. Why? Because you couldn't just print more money, right? You needed that gold to back it. So that was a constraint on how much money could be printed. All right, let's create a very simple spreadsheet. Super simple here. I have in this column, we're going to have the median home price going back to 2005. You can see that was $294,000. And as of the last data point that I have in 2024, that same house is valued at $416,000. In this column over here, we can see we also have the average price for that year of 1 ounce of gold, and that was 445, and then the last data point, 2,388. So we can see that the median home price is climbing and gold is also climbing as well. And what we're going to simply do is in this column over here, we're going to see how much would a median home cost if we saved in gold? So we took all of the money that we had and saved it in gold. We can see in 2005, to buy the median average home in the United States, we need about 661 ounces of gold. And then what we see is every year, at least this year, it falls. We can see it fall some more, falls more, falling. Here it falls a little bit, then rises a little, rises a little, rises a little, starts falling, rise, right, and then starts falling again, all the way down to today. So what we see is a complete opposite of the home price measured in dollars. So the point here is there was a time when gold backed our currency. And that's what we're simulating here again. When gold backed our currency, we can see that the median home price got cheaper. Here is a graph that depicts the same thing. This is the median home price in dollars, and we can see for the past 20 years that roughly we have a line that's going to the upper right. It's increasing. But measured in gold, we can see that the price is actually going down. This highlights the importance of sound money and what America used to look like in the not-so-distant past, where prices would generally fall or stay stable. This website here, Priced in Gold, highlights a lot of different commodities and other goods that you would buy priced in gold. And let's go to the U.S. housing prices. You can see the same chart here that goes all the way back to 1985. So this is the Case-Shiller Home Price Index, and it goes back to in the mid-90s, and that's the green line. So if you go ahead and mark the green line, we can see the continued rise and fall and overall just general rise of the average American home. In the blue line here, we could see this home prices priced in gold. And look at where we are in 2025. We could see that in 2025 is very similar to where we were in the 2010s, as well as a little bit cheaper than in 1985. So imagine we actually still lived on a gold standard. You would see that the home that you wanted to buy today would be very similar to the price that other people paid in 1985 or in 2010. It is completely different world. And it's important that you take this to heart and start thinking in these terms that what we're seeing when everything is priced in dollars, it is actually in an inflated price. It's inflated because the denominator, the dollar, is actually shrinking, right? The value of each dollar is shrinking because they're printing more of them. The point is, this website highlights a different world, a world we used to live in where prices were much more stable and in many cases actually falling over the years. That world is gone now because we went off the gold standard. This explains 99% of what's going on with the United States economy and why your cost of living continues to rise. And even today, if you measure things in gold instead of dollars, you're going to see something very interesting. Prices are far more stable. Your house, your groceries, the cost of living, they don't skyrocket into the stratosphere when you measure them in gold. Gold was humanity's answer to the broken measuring stick. But gold has its limits in the modern world. It's heavy, it's hard to move, it's hard to verify if it's real, and governments can still manipulate it. They can mine more, hoard it, sell it off, do all kinds of things. Gold was a great measuring stick for the old world. But today, we have something better, and that is Bitcoin. In my next video, I'm going to show you what happens when you measure the world and your life with a Bitcoin standard, the hardest money that has ever existed. You're going to see that your house, your groceries, and even the stock market, when all measured in Bitcoin, things look a lot different. And I promise you're never going to see prices the same way again. So you can watch that next video right after this one. So let me ask you, if you knew that your savings were being measured with a broken ruler and there was a way to fix it, would you want to know how? Well, of course. And that's what I teach in my free newsletter. I break down my 10% solution, the exact system that I use to start building wealth with Bitcoin. The link is in the description and it's all free. If this video changed how you see money, even just a little bit, please hit that like button and tell the YouTube algorithm that more people need to see this. And subscribe if you don't want to miss the next video. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much.